Hey guys, this video is brought to you by Summoner's War. Summoner's War is having its first ever collaboration and will feature Street Fighter V's Ryu, Chun-Li, Dalsim, M. Bison, and Ken being added. With over 110 million downloads on the Google Play and App Store, Summoner's War is the world's top mobile turn-based RPG, with updates and new features being frequently added. The game has over 1,000 unique units to awaken and a huge global community, so no two battles will ever be the same. Summoner's War is also celebrating the Street Fighter collaboration with an augmented reality filter event on social media and in-game events. You can go download Summoner's War in the description below and summon your free Ken now. The fighting game genre is made up of literally hundreds of different titles, from decades-old franchises like King of Fighters to oddball newer entries like them's Fightin' Herds. However, despite the existence of so many games, and complaints from fans that every new entry in their franchise is as good as its predecessor, the FGC as a whole tends to focus most of its attention on the same three franchises. 2D fans have Street Fighter, 3D fans have Tekken, and for team fighters, there's Marvel vs. Capcom. These three franchises have reigned supreme for more than 2 decades, and while there's always room on the schedule for anime games or new releases, it was rare that any game looked like it was going to topple the biggest games in the genre. That is, until 2017, when it became clear to everyone that there was a new kid on the block. A game so good that it would draw talent from every fighting game scene, the way a spirit bomb draws energy from those around it. This is Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's no secret that DBFZ has been a smash success, pushing through the mainstream barrier that held most other anime fighters back. But how is it able to achieve so much success so quickly? To understand that, you have to understand the backdrop against which DBFZ was released. In 2017, the FGC was dealing with a slew of disappointing experiences across many of its competitive subgenres. Older Street Fighter fans were more than a year into their frustrating experience with Street Fighter V, which included lackluster online play, a lack of content and fighters, and oversimplified gameplay that lost a lot of the complexity and nuance of its predecessors. Smash players were becoming incredibly disgruntled with the prominence of unbalanced characters like Bayonetta in Smash for the Wii U, and a slow pace and overall lack of variation at the higher levels of play. Injustice fans faced a never-ending wall of projectile spam from Deadshot players that made the game a test of patience for even the most dedicated users. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was a letdown on virtually all fronts. So while the universal appeal of Dragon Ball as a franchise all but guaranteed DBFZ's financial success, its competitive reception was enhanced by many players being primed to jump ship from their previous competitive games and join the newest team fighting trend. So when it was first revealed at E3 2017, DBFZ's crisp and clean visuals blew everyone away.
Yo! Here we go! Yo, let's go! Oh, shit! Okay, everyone shut up, here we go!
Let's start with visuals. Unlike the polygonal 3D monstrosities of the past, Arc System Works has a knack for seamlessly blending anime art into a 3D environment. Beautiful character models, stylized dust and wind textures, flashy special moves, and cinematic finishers put players directly inside their favorite scenes from the Dragon Ball anime, creating an experience unrivaled in the other 90+ licensed Dragon Ball games that preceded it. On top of this, DBFZ featured tight, responsive gameplay, and after a heavy dose of nostalgia, players were dead set on getting the game. Within the first week, Dragon Ball FighterZ had sold over 2 million copies and set the Steam record for most concurrent players in a fighting game. It took no time at all for the FGC to embrace FighterZ. Local tournament entries skyrocketed, and players from every scene flocked to the game. High-profile players like Leffen from the Smash scene, Chris G from the Marvel scene, and Justin Wong from, well, every scene, threw their hats in the ring.
The thing that made Dragon Ball magic is you would have players from every walk of life, every game, and the top level players. They get to meet. You get these WWE-esque matches of Goichi versus Levin, a melee player versus a poverty anime god. This could never happen, and it creates one of the most hype matches that the game has ever seen. It can't be replicated because Dragon Ball was able to draw in all those audiences.
While not everyone who came to FighterZ ended up staying, to this day, many of the scene's top players came from backgrounds other than team fighters. And this cross-genre contamination didn't stop with the players. Fighting game fans and spectators alike were hyped out of their minds to see the gods of their respective games facing off against one another. Competition in FighterZ rose quickly, and it wasn't long before the game's first rivalry took shape, cropping up between Dominique Sonic Fox McClane, who came from Mortal Kombat, and Goichi Go-1 Kishida, who came from the anime fighter Melty Blood. It started as most rivalries do, with one party throwing shade at the other. During Sonic Fox's first major tournament for FighterZ, they were called out by Go-1, who had just won a weekly tournament in Osaka. When interviewed after this victory, Goichi had this to say.
次はソニックホークス、お前だ。
This was the shot heard around the FighterZ world. The gauntlet had been thrown, and Sonic Fox answered in kind, responding on Twitter, quote, "Goichi, come. I've been meaning to take your head and show you who's perfect." A couple weeks after the challenge was made, the two players would face off at Final Round 2018 in a 1-to-10 exhibition match. Sonic Fox's unstoppable offense against Goichi's immovable defense. As the set started, it looked at first that Sonic Fox had the upper hand, taking the first two games with ease. But it wasn't long before Goichi would adapt and proceeded to decimate Sonic Fox in an astonishing 10-4 victory. A victory that would be repeated in the grand finals of that same tournament. The first punch had been thrown, and Goichi had made good on his Twitter promise. But where most beefs might have died with such a decisive loss, Sonic Fox used this defeat as fuel for the fire, coming back again and again to challenge Goichi. The pair would face off repeatedly throughout the 2018 season, swapping wins back and forth, but each victory or defeat just continued to push them toward their ultimate goal, EVO, the biggest stage in fighting games, and the tournament that would decide, once and for all, who was the strongest in the world. After 7 months of competition, countless hours of training, and fighting through the most stacked event at the tournament, Goichi and Sonic Fox faced off against each other in the grand finals of EVO 2018. It was the match everyone had been waiting for. Both players tempered by their years of competition, both in their final forms, and both with everything to prove.
I would need to win one. So here we go. Oh, that was so loud. Talk to me. That was music to my earlobes. The people. Okay, here we go. Bandana for the family. Bardock, the lineage, the grandpappy. Here we go. Opening gambit time.
EVO Grand Finals, USA versus Japan. Sonic Fox on winner's side.
The match started off with a bang, as Goichi's meta-defining team of Cell, Bardock, and Super Saiyan Vegeta made short work of Sonic Fox, resetting the bracket with a definitive 3-0 victory. Visibly shaken, and with commentators questioning his newly assembled team of Bardock, Zamasu, and Android 16, Sonic Fox requested a side switch between matches. While not customary, it was agreed by both players that they would let a coin toss decide which side each player would take. The resulting toss led to a switch, and Sonic Fox took his preferred place in the player 1 position. Most players would say the side you're sitting on doesn't really matter, but Sonic Fox made it a point to try and prove them wrong. With the players back in the arena, Sonic Fox looked as if he had just taken off his weighted training clothes, and the balance of power had clearly shifted in Sonic Fox's favor. What once looked like it would be an easy reverse sweep for Goichi quickly became a fight for his survival. Each player fought with everything they had, and in the end, it was Sonic Fox who proved themselves the strongest in the world with a reverse 3-0 sweep, seeming to bring their rivalry to a close in the most anime fashion possible.
And Sonic Fox is your Dragon Ball FighterZ Evolution 2018 champion. He's done it. He's done it.
All those years, Sonic Fox, back-to-back EVO champion, multi-time EVO champion, NRS games, he's done it all. Everybody said he only...
But just like any good anime, these two fighters would face off against each other again in the next season, and the journey to get there would be a long one indeed. In the months leading up to EVO 2019, Bandai Namco announced that there would be a first-party tournament circuit called the Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour. Each of the Saga event tournaments would award the winning player a life-size Dragon Ball. This Dragon Ball would guarantee them a spot in the World Tour finals, and if one player managed to claim all 7, then they would be able to skip the entire bracket and jump straight to grand finals of the tournament. This event, while exciting for players pursuing DBFZ professionally, was reminiscent of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite's poorly received Battle for the Stones event. And much like the Battle for the Stones event, the World Tour was fraught with problems and mismanagement from the beginning.
Because they had the Dragon Ball World Tour, where in the show, all the Dragon Balls would be scattered across the Earth, correct? Well, that's how we're going to do our World Tour. So all these different places have these Dragon Ball events. You win a Dragon Ball, you're qualified, and then the last spot is the 8th spot, which we do a qualifier for, a last chance qualifier. Some of these events, they announced a week before they were going to be in the tour that they were in the tour, which made it incredibly hard for players to travel. If you live in Sweden and you have to be in California next week, and you didn't already buy your plane ticket 3 weeks ago, you're gonna have a bad time.
There was also a problem with tournament dates clashing with each other, and despite intending for pros to be able to travel to all of the events in the series, scheduling of the tournament would sometimes be prohibitive. One such occasion saw the 4-star ball tournament in Mexico concluding just 6 days before the start of the 5-star ball tournament in Singapore. But despite these challenges, one player almost managed to succeed in completing the unthinkable, and that player was none other than Ryota Kazunoko Inui. The 30-year-old Japanese player had made a name for himself by playing almost every 2D fighting game under the sun, and his resume includes beating players like Daigo Umehara and NuckleDu before committing full-time to DBFZ. Throughout his run in the series, Kazunoko would claim the 1, 5, 6, and 7-star Dragon Balls, as well as finishing top 8 in EVO. While everyone's attention had been placed on the legendary rivalry of Sonic Fox and Goichi, Kazunoko had been leveling up and preparing to make his mark on the FighterZ scene. While EVO may be the biggest stage in fighting games, the World Tour Finals took place on Dragon Ball's 1-year anniversary, and represented an entire year of dedication and grinding by the game's top players. And while our rivals from EVO were present and fought their hardest, it was Kazunoko who came out on top in a staggering display of skill.
Not enough. The Wolves last hit. The Wolves got him again. Kazunoko, your Dragon Ball FighterZ champion.
The first ever, and I know he will be returning. That is, of course, if we do get another season of this World Tour. But man, this is amazing. Look at this. The family is happy.
The World Tour marked the end of the first year of DBFZ, and while Season 2 would continue to draw large competitions, hype matches, and feel-good redemption arcs, momentum for the game was starting to decline. By EVO 2019, hype for the game had quieted down, and entries dwindled to less than half of what it had been in the previous year. Despite this, the tournament ended in the best way it possibly could have, with a continuation of the Goichi Sonic Fox rivalry. Facing off again in grand finals, the two managed to push each other to the edge, putting on a riveting set that ended up tied at 2-2. With both players giving it their all, the final match was won by Goichi, who proceeded to have one of the most emotional victory celebrations ever seen at EVO. And in a stunning display of sportsmanship, Sonic Fox refused to be upset, and they celebrated as friends rather than rivals, passing the crown with smiles and unity instead of salt.
This is it. Drop them, keep it simple. There it is, Goichi, your Dragon Ball FighterZ 2019 EVO champion.
After overcoming hand injury, he's in tears up there, defeating Sonic Fox to claim victory here. On the winner's side nonetheless, and those are real tears right there.
Today, DBFZ is in a strange spot. The game is still really popular, with Steam charts showing that player numbers consistently in the thousands. However, thanks to the restrictions of the global pandemic, the competitive scene is facing trouble. While Dragon Ball FighterZ has many positive things going for it, stable online play is not one of them. And problems surrounding netcode proved to be too big of a hurdle for most organizers to overcome. The online play is so bad that EVO had planned to drop the title when transitioning to the previously planned EVO Online. But some dedicated players are looking for new, creative ways to bridge that gap. Parsec is a service that allows PC players to connect directly to each other's computers or to a rented server. Through the use of these independent servers, players and potentially tournament organizers will be able to rescue input lag in online play to a more manageable degree, hopefully improving their ability to hold DBFZ competitions digitally in a more fair and satisfying manner. However, these servers come at a cost, and each pair of players will need one of their own, making the larger tournaments much more difficult to facilitate. Unfortunately, until this solution is made easier or another is made more feasible, the DBFZ competitive scene is in a bit of a rut, which is a shame considering all of the positive changes that had just been made to the game at the start of Season 3. New characters, rebalancing, as well as the addition of selectable assists, all but assured that fans would be able to experience the most customizable, free-form gameplay FighterZ had ever seen. So where will the game go from here? It's tough to say, especially with the current global pandemic, but if Dragon Ball has taught us anything, it's that through hard work, perseverance, and a little help from our friends, we can overcome anything, great or small. But to see it for yourself, you're gonna have to wait for the next episode of Dragon Ball FighterZ. This video is also brought to you by our newly released Patreon. We are incredibly grateful for the response and early rush of support. Massive thanks to everyone on this list, and a special shout out to Sammy, Shampoo, and Nathan for being Platinum supporters. If you also want to support our channel and unlock perks, check out the Patreon link in the description below or become a member of our Discord community. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated. My name is Jonah, thanks for watching.